Action.
All right, guys, so we've already gone over arithmetic series, and now we need to go over our geometric series. Now, series is just a fancy way of saying, I want the total sum of the sequence that we're dealing with. So I gave us a really nice small one so we can know the answer before we try out our geometric series formula. So we're gonna do 2 plus 8 plus 32 plus 128. So we know the answer is 170 before we start. So now let's focus on setting up our formula correctly to make sure we get that total sum, the evaluation of the series. So S sub n, our little n is just a fancy way of saying how many numbers are you adding up? 1, 2, 3, 4. So the sum of those first 4 terms will equal a sub 1, which is a fancy way of saying the first term in our sequence. So I see my first number is a 2, times 1 minus, the r is the common ratio. And this is why it's geometric, because we're not adding the same number every time here. The relationship we see is 2 times 4 is 8, times 4 is 32, times 4 is 128. That r stands for this common ratio, or the multiplier. And once again, we see n, the same n we used to start. How many numbers are we adding up? I see 4, so it'll be 4 to the 4th, divided by 1 minus r. Once again, 1 minus our ratio or multiplier. Now, I want you to pause the video and see if you can try this out on your own. Okay, great. Hopefully you did try it. Let's start simplifying. The first thing we're going to need to do is our exponent. I'm just going to use my handy dandy calculator. 4 to the 4th power gives me 256. I'm going to go ahead and simplify down. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Now we're just going to keep on going. Parentheses, 1 minus 256. I'm going to write it all up here. 2 times negative 255. 55. Divided by negative 3. 2 times 255 is negative 510. Divided by negative 3 gets us our 170, which we already knew from the very beginning of the problem. And C.
Action.
So now let's make this a little more complicated. I didn't give you every single number in the sequence, so we can't add up and see what our actual answer is to check it. I just told you that I want to know the sum of all 8 terms of the sequence if I continued the pattern. So we're going to jump right in and see, can we use the formula? So S sub n, once again, is how many numbers am I asking you to find the sum for? I'm telling you right here, 8. So we're finding the sum of the first 8 terms if we continue the pattern, which will equal, once again, a sub 1, the first term, 3, times 1 minus r. That's our multiplier, which is why it's geometric. That's why we're using this formula instead of the other one. I see 3 times 4 is 12, times 4 is 48, and so on. Once you found your multiplier, you found r. The n, same thing. How many numbers am I adding up? 8. Once again, divided by 1 minus r. 1 minus that 4 again. Pause that video, try and simplify it. Great, see if you got it correct. 4 to the 8th power, 4 to the 8th power. Woo, this is getting big. 3 times 1 minus 65,536. Divided by 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Once again, I'm going to do 1 minus that. So we'll get 3 times negative 65,535 divided by negative 3. I'm going to continue my math up here. But when in this step, I'm going to simplify my numerator. 3 times negative 65,535. And I end up with negative 196,600. 608, still divided by that negative 3. Now I'll just divide it by that negative 3, and we get our actual answer of 65,536. And see.